Welcome to another episode of Good Morning McGlone. Today we're going to be talking about Louis Armstrong. In 1918, Armstrong was in a popular band in New Orleans. Armstrong plays super cool instruments like piano, flute, and he sings super good. Anaya, have you ever played piano?
Actually, I've played a piano before. It was like in second grade, and it was really dope. So, have you played like a trumpet or like a piano or flute before?
If I'm to be completely honest, yes, I have, from my amazing music teacher, Dr. Brown. And when I was in first grade, he gave me and my whole class visuals, flutes, and only one good at playing all instruments now is from Dr. Brown. And I'll give a huge thank you to him for helping me get better at my instruments. And now, just from your first year being here, how does Dr. Brown help you?
Dr. Brown, he's been a really good teacher. He even though this is my first year here, it was really nice, and I already learned a lot of things from him, and being here really made me happy. And so I'm gonna say a few things about Louis Armstrong. So Louis Armstrong was an iconic jazz trumpeter and band leader in the 1920s. He developed a style of playing jazz as an instrumentalist and a vocalist. And that is still influencing musicians today. His music is still heard today on televisions, radios, and in films. Let's check out the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next number we're going to swing for you is one of the good old favorites.
Louis Armstrong was the first great influence in jazz, no question about it.
Louis Armstrong was born on August 4th, 1901, in New Orleans, Louisiana. When he was only 11 years old, Armstrong was sent to live at a boys' home.
He was really at the colored wife's home where Armstrong really learns how to play the cornet, and he realized, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Armstrong played in various bands and riverboats before moving to Chicago in 1922 to join his mentor Joe Oliver's Creole Jazz Band.
That band was very significant because it was the first famous jazz band in Chicago that really highlighted the New Orleans sound, the New Orleans talent.
With his recordings from 1925 to 1928, with his group The Hot Five and The Hot Seven, Armstrong changed the course of jazz, producing hits like Muggles and West End Blues.
Armstrong's sense of swing, his solos, his singing, his scatting, it's all there. Every form of popular music that comes after can be traced to those 1920s recordings.
In 1926, he recorded Heebie Jeebies and quickly became one of the most popular jazz musicians in America.
Armstrong had been scatting long before he recorded the Heebie Jeebies. What Armstrong did, however, was influence a new generation of jazz vocalists to incorporate scat singing as part of the genre of jazz.
In 1929, Armstrong performed a jazz rendition of Ain't Misbehavin', which became his biggest selling record to date.
Louis Armstrong had a way of taking a popular song and making it his own.
During the 30s, Armstrong recorded his theme song When It's Sleepy Time Down South. And in 1937, he became the first African American to host a sponsored national radio broadcast.
Armstrong broke down many barriers throughout the 1930s. He becomes the first African American to have in his contract that he would not play a hotel he could not stay at. He becomes the first African American star to get featured billing in a Hollywood movie. Just through his music and the sheer force of his personality, the barriers start falling.
Armstrong fronted a small jazz band called the All-Stars in 1947 and made guest appearances in feature films with artists like Bing Crosby, Mae West, and Grace Kelly.
He makes over 35 films and was the first jazz musician to appear on the cover of Time magazine. Louis was the real king of jazz.
Throughout the 50s and 60s, Armstrong toured worldwide and recorded some of his biggest hits, including Porgy and Bess and What a Wonderful World. At the age of 63, he became the oldest artist to hit #1 on the pop chart with his rendition of Hello, Dolly.
Louis Armstrong really ushered in modern jazz by bringing together a sense of blues, aesthetic, musical virtuosity, and astounding intonation on his instrument.
Over his lifetime, Armstrong made thousands of recordings and received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Armstrong continued to perform until he died from a heart attack on July 6, 1971.
There's never been a musician as popular as Louis Armstrong. And even years later, when Good Morning Vietnam used a recording that Louis Armstrong did, What a Wonderful World, that went to the top of the charts years after he had passed away.
And Naya, from just that look in the video, how did that video inspire you?
Like, that video inspired me because it was like really cool because it talked about like how he like learned to play the trumpet from this little boy camp. And so yeah, how about you? What inspired you?
He inspired me and how I liked it a lot. It was because when he was singing and like playing all his instruments, it kind of reminded me of my music teacher, Dr. Brown, when he was playing, when Louis Armstrong was playing the flute. And I also was like thinking when he was doing because he was thinking about him being sad, but I think he was putting on a fake smile to put everybody else in the crowd a happy smile on their face too. And I think he was really kind of happy to let it all out, because if you hold something in for too long that you really want to get off your chest, it's probably just let me out, you need to say it.
We hope y'all enjoyed this video. Bye, McGlone Lobos!